In this video, I'm going to demonstrate on how to paint watercolor mangoes. I took a photograph of some mangoes I had at home. I made a photocopy so I'll have that as a reference point. Then I drew those mangoes and I outlined the areas where they change colors or have highlights. I'm going to take my photograph or my photocopy and I'm going to look at all the colors I'm going to need when I start watercoloring. Have those available before you begin watercoloring. The first thing I'm going to do a wet on wet because I want my colors to naturally fade into each other, and the wet on wet is going to give me that effect. I'm going to begin first by painting one mango. That's why I'm only wetting one mango at the moment. Now I'm going to begin by painting first the lightest area of my mango. I'm going to use a very light yellow and I'm going to go ahead and apply that. Now I'm going to take a little bit of the lime green and I'm going to also apply that next to the yellow. I don't mind them flowing a little bit into each other. I actually want that to happen. Now I'm going to take a little bit of a darker yellow and I'm going to go ahead and apply it next to that light yellow I had originally applied. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to very lightly go ahead and blend it into my light yellow. Now I'm going to take more of an orange yellow and I'm going to go ahead and apply it next to the yellow. Now I'm going to take a little bit of a bright lime green and I'm going to apply it only to the end of that mango. And then I'm going to slightly blend it in. I don't want to lose the color completely, but I don't want it to be like a splotch on the tip of the mango. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply a light coat of red on the rest of my mango. Now I'm going to take more of a tomato red here and I'm going to apply it next to the orange yellow I had put on earlier. Now I'm going to apply a white and red color to the back of my tomato. Then I'm going to gently blend it into my red. Take the paintbrush, clean it, and now use the wet paintbrush to gently blend in some of the colors so that you don't have these harsh walls between the colors. Rather, they look like they smoothly blend one color into another. Now I feel like I have the main foundation of my painting completed. So now what I'm going to go back in and I'm going to emphasize certain colors. I'm going to dab in some colors. I'm going to gently brush in some colors. But mostly what I do want to do is softly blend one color into the other. So again, so you don't create those walls or borders that are so abrupt. You're going to want to definitely brighten up some of the areas of your mangoes, and you're going to want to leave some areas lighter. But you have to be careful when painting with watercolor because your colors can get muddy. And there really is no do-over once you have begun. As you continue to watch this mango as I'm painting it, you'll see how I will look at certain areas, and I'll definitely brighten up some areas, and I'll blend out some areas into each other. But I can't emphasize enough that you are painting on watercolor paper, and it is a very gentle paper. So you do not want to get too rough with that paper. You want to brush very gently. You want to blend very gently so that you don't end up tearing into the paper. Now I'm going to take my thin paintbrush and I'm going to emphasize the stem on the mango. And also I am going to add the little details, like if there's a dark mark on the mango, if there's a bruise on the mango, if there's speckles on the mango. I'm going to go ahead and try to bring those all out right now. I wasn't quite satisfied by the way the mango was looking, so I'm going to go back in and I'm going to brighten it up with a little bit more of that wine red color and anywhere else where it may need it. One of the tricks I use a lot when I paint with watercolor is I don't want to brush everything so smoothly, but I really sometimes like to just dab and leave some areas a lot darker, or have that, give it that texture feeling that you don't get by just keeping everything completely smooth with a paintbrush. Now I'm going to take a look at my second mango. I notice it's more red, but there are some lighter areas, some yellow areas, and then there's some darker areas as well, and some details. So I drew that out. I drew where the lighter areas are, and I drew where the details are, where the stem is, and I'm going to keep that in mind when I'm painting. I'm going to use the same technique on the second mango I did on the first mango. I'm going to do the wet on wet. I'm going to paint that whole mango wet, but please be careful that you do not want your water dripping into this first mango, because then it will go ahead and spill it into this first mango and you will have a mess. So I'm going to start with my lighter color first, and then I'm going to go ahead and build from there. Remember the things that I emphasize: to blend and to fade into one another. Do not create those walls that looks like where one color starts and the other ends. Now I'm going to start my third mango, and I noticed by the picture that I have a lot more green, then to yellow, and then to some reds. So I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and start with the lighter colors. I'm going to outline it so I know where it begins. It doesn't have to be exactly like your picture. You could sort of just kind of like make it happen as you go along. If it looks better one way, then go ahead and do it that way. I'm going to go ahead and do the same technique, wet on wet. I'm going to go ahead and start with my first color, and then I'm going to try to blend the green in from there. I'm going to go ahead and dab in some of my orange, and then proceed then to the red. So once you think your mangoes are completed, now is the time to go ahead and add the details. Again, if they have marks on them, if they have bruises, if they have the sap from the mango tree spilling on them, go ahead and add those details. This is the area where I go ahead and I step back a little bit and I look at my mango and see if I'm missing something, and if I need to add more color, I'll go ahead and add the colors at this point. I'm going to get my photocopy and I'm going to look now at what shadows I have. So I notice on this mango here I have a big shadow there and another shadow there and a small little section with shadows. So I'm going to go ahead and draw those shadows into my paper so that I know where they're going to go when I begin painting. I'm going to begin painting by using a very, very light gray, and then I'm going to build onto that. So again, if you look at your photocopy, you got to say, well, is there areas that are going to be a little bit darker? So start very light and build onto that shadow. Don't do it all at one time, because then you'll have just a big dark shadow and you can't really sort of build on it like a gradient technique. And that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm going to sort of build like a gradient technique for my shadow. Now my shadow gets darker as it gets closer to the fruit because the fruit is blocking the light. Now that I completed painting my mangoes, I'm going to go ahead and add a background. I'm going to emphasize like the mangoes are on the table and there is a darkened background behind it. I chose to do black. You could do whatever you want, or you could have just left the mangoes on the white background. And that's basically it. That's how you paint watercolor mangoes. If you enjoyed watching this video, please like and subscribe below.